This presentation is of the art of Louise Bourgeois. Louise Bourgeois, in an exhibition called To Unravel a Torment, which I saw at the Serralves Museum of Contemporary Art in Porto, Portugal recently, really serves a number of ways. It serves as a great retrospective of the artist's work and to get a sense of what she was about. But it also works as a primer. As I walked through the work, I realized, boy, she really does use 3D design in a very effective way and for her own purposes. And I thought that I would take a moment or two and use her exhibition as a great kind of primer on some ideas for you in your 3D design class. So what we learn about Louise Bourgeois from this Wikipedia entry here is that she was born on the 1911 and she died almost 100 years later, 99 years later in 2010. She was French-American, and although she is best known for her large-scale sculpture and installation art, Bourgeois was also a prolific painter and printmaker, and we'll see a little bit of everything here. She explored a variety of themes over the course of her long career, including domesticity and the family, sexuality and the body, as well as death and the unconscious. These themes connect to events from her childhood, which she considered to be a therapeutic process. Although Bourgeois exhibited with the abstract expressionists and her work has much in common with surrealism and feminist art, she was not formally affiliated with any particular artist movement. And really, she was her own unique visionary. She created work that was iconoclastic and that strived to create a certain transcendent yet very troubled state of mind. Some of her pieces are so disturbing you can't stop looking at them, and yet you can't quite settle on their meaning. But we'll start looking at some of these pieces here. This piece I was very excited to show you for a number of reasons. It offers a great option for the assignment you have coming up called Balancing Variety and Unity. So she is organizing the elements of this sculpture around a cube base, and by creating that starting foundation of a square and then reinforcing it with that marble base, she's creating a sense of a kind of rectangular box. And visually, because she keeps all of these diverse elements within that rectangular box, if you were to extend the walls of that base, it brings a sense of unity to all these wonderful, crazy little forms that she's carved. So she also kind of creates a sense of organization by creating an image of the hand, or perhaps a blossom. And then the color contrast that she's created with that bright white piece in the center, that may be a piece of marble among the wood, but that bright white piece right in the center of the sculpture surrounded by all those black forms. So the black unifies all the pieces, but that one piece just jumps out because of the incredible contrast. That's a technique of contrast, and it's a good one to have in your toolkit. To think about, is there a place where contrast could serve me in this piece I'm making? Also, you can see that this is leaning towards an option of saying, hey, there's ways to use lots and lots and lots of shapes to create a multiples piece. And that's your assignment in Balancing Variety and Unity. You have to use 100 of the same object amongst all the other things that you're using in your sculpture. So how do you unify? How do you make an exciting, scintillating, and compelling sculpture with 100 objects that you've unified? Here again, we see some ideas for your Balancing Variety and Unity. She has all these cylindrical forms cut at askew angles, all packed into this structure, and it's the structure that holds the unity. The structure is echoing the square base, the rectangular base, and it's capped by a rectangular box on the top. There's a kind of a halfway point where there's a rectangular slice through the piece, And so you get this reinforced kind of parallel and perpendicular and planar quality that helps unite everything. The other thing, of course, that's uniting everything is that she spray painted everything black. And that automatically helps you see the whole thing as one piece rather than diverse objects of many different colors. So here's another component that she's using. This has many, many elements of design in it. The piece is organic in quality. The piece is clearly a phallus. The use of material of latex gives the piece a flesh-like, almost repulsive quality. Bourgeois is sending a mixed gender messages here. It's clearly a male phallus. The enlarged orbs at the bottom, though, could be read as breasts, and Bourgeois referred to them as such. The title of the piece translates to Little Girl, and it reflects Bourgeois' conception that males were very fragile and in need of her protection. She grew up in a household of 3 men, her husband and her 2 sons. The shock value of the unexpected is also a visual element of design. Think about using shock and awe. Think about using startling juxtapositions. How can you create images that kind of startle us and then at the same time make it difficult for us to look away? Not only is it a phallus, but it's suspended from the ceiling like a piece of meat. So this is also an indication that something is amiss here. And the name of this piece is Fiat. And here's a photograph taken by Robert Mapplethorpe, a world-renowned photographer, and he did portraits of personalities. And when Louise Bourgeois posed for the portrait, she wanted to be photographed holding this, cradling this piece, because she really did see it as part of her, something that she would protect and nurture. Here again, we have another lesson from Louise Bourgeois about a strategy for balancing unity with variety. That challenge again is that you get 100 pieces and somehow you have to give them a sense that they're unified. And look at that stack of stones. They've been drilled, and right through the center is a steel rod that makes this a very wonderful vertical piece, and it's kind of standing amongst a forest of other vertical pieces. These forms emphasize height above all other dimensions. That's another aspect. Can you make something that's all height or all width or all depth? In making and displaying many things, vertical work side by side, Bourgeois is offering yet another unifying strategy. Though they are all different, their verticality visually unites them. This piece is called Avenza Revisited. And it has certain qualities. It has a softness, it's organic, it's flowing, it's biomorphic. Biomorphic means kind of having a form of life. And here Bourgeois is once again toying with the viewer, creating disturbing and unsettling images, in part through form and in part through texture. Her creative vision seems to focus on many qualities most of us find unsettling. I think she has come to understand that when her work is somewhat disturbing, we pay more attention and we get more from it. She says, the look of my figures is abstract, and to the spectator they may not appear to be figures at all. They are expression, in abstract terms, of emotions and states of awareness. 18th century painters made conversation pieces. My sculptures might be called confrontation pieces. And here I think we have her saying, as directly as possible, that she is working very much with the concept of being confrontational in the gallery, having her work engage with the viewer, start a relationship with the viewer, a relationship that at least at the beginning starts with some sense of unease and discomfort. Okay, here the artist demonstrates that it is the artist's vision and creativity that makes a thing art and not the material. So anything can be used as art if the artist has the vision to use it well. And this figure is created from sewn and stuffed long underwear. Again, to heighten our discomfort, the display is unexpected. It's hanging from the ceiling, perhaps recalling Abu Ghraib or other scenes of torture. Keep in mind that shocking or disappointing our expectations visually is a powerful compositional technique. And it is really a powerful compositional technique, but it can't be shock for shock's sake. Try to carry through, if you're going to use this kind of technique, carry through with some deeper meaning, some raison d'etre, some reason that you're driven to make this expression. So the piece has some kind of core integrity to it. Here, in this piece, you'll see qualities of texture. It's kind of, again, fleshy latex, almost repulsive. It's biomorphic, meaning the shape of life. It feels like it might be something living, maybe in the ocean. It's organic. It's soft. So that lack of hard edges, for the most part, creates a sense of softness. It's got a very strong positive and negative composition, with the negative spaces of the holes that she's carved into it and the negative spaces of these two arm-like appendages, these two kind of cup-like forms that come out from the bottom of the piece. And there's a contrast from the soft and round qualities of the entire form to the straight and parallel qualities of the boxes that you see, of the cutout negative space boxes. And ambiguity is such a powerful tool, and Bourgeois uses it brilliantly. This piece hangs again from the ceiling, and here you almost see a meat hook. Again, it's latex, and the piece giving that feeling of meat hanging on a hook. But what is it, and how do we understand it? What's it about, and what can we gain from continued observing this piece? Here, Bourgeois goes way beyond mere contrast. This is a startling juxtaposition meant at once, again, to unsettle, and evoke the kind of discomfort that is linked with unbreakable gaze, with an unbreakable gaze. Mortality and delicacy are contrasted. The delicate lace of these undergarments, all hung on bone, in this case, cow bone. It's a tremendous contrast to encourage a state of sort of transcendent contemplation, perhaps about your own mortality and the fleeting nature of existence. So now you're catching on. Here's a soft form, and it's contrasted with the hard stone of black marble. The black polished surfaces are contrasted with the textured and white scarred surface of the base. In this painting, a male torso is depicted with child in his womb. It is a bit hard to see because of my reflection taking the picture. Just check out the arrow pointing to the head of the upside down baby. You can just see the little figure in there in the what would be the womb of the male. Again, playing with gender, challenging our assumptions. She's way ahead of her time in this kind of looking at male-female gender stereotypes. And one additional lesson from Louise Bourgeois is scale. Now, there's so many different kinds of scale. There's the intimate scale of a piece of jewelry or a little tiny figurine. And then there's the sort of tabletop scale of kind of something that's still well within our grasp. And then there's a sort of the human scale, something that's the same size as our bodies. And then you can see this. This is what, 20 plus feet, 25 feet in the air. This is called Mama. It's one of her spider sculptures that she did towards the end of her career. It is not an image I am seeking. It is not an idea. It is an emotion you want to recreate, an emotion of wanting, of giving, and of destroying. So once again, this idea of wanting and giving are contrasted with an almost opposite idea of destroying. And I don't want to say much about these paintings other than I found them very compelling and a powerful use of language. It is difficult to use language in a poetic way without being dogmatic or overly explaining your art. And these pieces were stunning in their simplicity and directness and honesty. They did feel like Bourgeois was talking about her own artwork and her own mortality. This one says, "I leave the nest." And this one says, "I am what I love most." This one, "I leave my home." And here, "I am packing my bags." And there were a number of installations in this exhibition. I didn't go too far into photographing those, but you can see the multiples again of the doorway creating the space. And then when you peek in, which you can't fully do, you see a bed and lots of kind of surgical-like instruments and strange objects gathered on a table next door. So again, very disconcerting. Something is going on here. And some very strong words here. You can see art is the guarantee of sanity. Pain is the ransom of formalism. And then down underneath the bed, you can just make out the words, "the rage." And again, all of these are done with needlepoint. They're sewn into the fabric, a method of creation that is typically, stereotypically thought of as a female art form. And this is also on the bed, and a wonderful poetic statement. "I need my memories. They are my documents." And this, again, is juxtaposed and contrasted with this, which was at the very end of her exhibition, "My life every day is a liquidation of the past." So almost anti-memory.